Good evening or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I wish you a very pleasant life wherever you are. And I'm in the Caribbean. I'm right here in the Caribbean. So, at this time it is evening and it is Monday evening. And we are back again every Monday with the program called Dusting of the Mirror. And during this program, we look at the Bible from what I consider to be quite a unique perspective. It's not preaching, it's not a sermon, it's looking at the greatest book on earth, as far as I'm concerned. It's a very intriguing book. And we look at it from a perspective that is not the norm. My name is Lachlan Tatum, and for the past weeks, we have been looking at Noah and his experience with the flood, his exit from the ark, and his dealing with God and God's dealing with him and his sons after the flood. Now, God, after the flood, is saying to Noah and to his sons, do not behave like beasts. Do not behave like animals. Not even while you're eating your food. And I said that because if you were to look back at other episodes, for example, the episode from last week, you will hear that we did go into some measure of discussion as to that matter pertaining to the eating of meat with blood in its flesh. God was saying to Noah and his sons not to eat any meat with blood in it. And of course, that discourse is online, and you can go and look at it. But we're going to look here at Genesis chapter 9. And today we're going to begin by bringing the focus to verse 4 of Genesis 9. Now, God shifts the topic from the matter of eating meat with blood in it. He told them not to eat any meat with blood in it. He told them, Noah and his sons, to avoid eating meat with blood in it. We have already gone through that, and you can go back and look at what we said. So God is shifting the topic. Verse 5, where God talks about blood again. He continues his discourse with Noah and his sons on the matter of blood issues. But this time, the blood that God is going to be talking to Noah and his sons about is not animal blood, but human blood. So God is shifting from his commandment related to eating food with blood in it to the matter of dealing with shedding of human blood. And God said to Noah and his sons, do not shed human blood. God said to Noah and his son, don't kill people. Do not shed human blood. He said to them, if you disobey this commandment and you shed human blood, your blood will be shed. In other words, you kill somebody, you're going to be killed in return. Now, there is a statement in chapter 9 and verse 6. And that statement is a very telling one. It says in chapter 9, verse 6, that I will demand a reckoning from the hand of every beast. This is very interesting. This is very interesting. Here God is talking to people. And he's telling people not to kill other people. Do not shed other people's blood. But in Genesis chapter 9 and verse 6, it says, I will demand a reckoning from the hand of every beast. Listen to this carefully. From the hand, H-A-N-D, of every beast. Now we know that that beasts, animal we refer to as beasts, they don't have hands, generally speaking. Now, what is God referring to? Is he referring to monkeys when he talks about beasts, the hands of beasts? Is he referring to apes? Is he referring to the orangutan, whatever the name? The orangutan, I think that's the name of the animal. No, God is not referring to the animals with hands. God is saying, we need to find, God is saying to Noah and his sons, you, Noah and his sons, need to find better ways to solve your problems and stop functioning like beasts. Stop functioning like beasts. It's a play on words. God has a sense of humor. And why? Why should we stop behaving like beasts? Because if you can shed blood, God is hinting to man that if you can shed blood, you are very dangerous. If you can shed blood, you are a dangerous human being. Anybody who can shed other people's blood is a dangerous person. God is saying you are a threat to the life and the welfare of other people, other human beings, because if you can kill once, if you can kill one time, you can kill again. You're dangerous. Remember, in those days, there were no police officers. They didn't have any prisons. There was no court system. Nobody could take you to court. There was no court system. If you killed someone, any person who killed another person was eliminated. Then God talks about image. made in the image of God and so on. Folks whose image we are, the image we are, the image that we have is important. How we behave and who we behave like is important. Who we look like is important. Who we behave like is important. Who we want to become like is crucially important. Who we want to become like, to be like, is crucially important. Who we want to dress like, eat like, think like, believe like, talk like, are all important things. It's important who you follow. It is important who your pattern. It's important who your example is. Whose image you take on, or whose image you and I take up, is an important thing. God is saying, I made you in my image. Again, God is saying, I made you in my image. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil my image. Don't spoil my image by your behavior. And don't spoil my image, God's image, by your action. You know, we're not robots. Robots don't live to be 80 years old and 90 and 100. In fact, these machines and robots and so on change so fast, they don't live long. You know, they change so fast. But only human beings can live quite a long time. You know, they tell me that most of us on this earth are going to live to see maximum. Most of us are going to live to see a maximum of 3 generations. After you've seen your 3 generations, it's time to say goodbye. Some people are fortunate to see the 4th, but they don't hang around very much longer to even see that 4th generation become an adult. So life is short. But human beings can live in relation to other creatures, other animals and so on. We live a fairly long time. Humans can do, and we do, and we can live long lives. But only obedience brings the promise of long life. In other words, God is saying, do the right thing. Do right things. If we do the right thing, we increase our chances of living long. Now, this chapter that we're looking at has much to say about killing and the shedding of blood. But God tries to make men conscious or aware of the alternative to murder and the alternative to mayhem. In verse 7 of chapter 10, God says, instead of creating chaos and mayhem, God said, instead of creating chaos and mayhem, I want you to multiply. And multiply. Killing one another, God is saying, is Not multiplying, it's subtraction. Killing one another is not multiplying. It is subtraction. Taken away. But God is saying, I want you to multiply. And he has another word for it. He said, he calls it fruitful. Fruitful. He says, he's talking to Noah and his sons. He says, be fruitful and multiply. To multiply means that you have to come together. You can't multiply unless there is some coming together. So here, the image that God is presenting is changing from all the blood talk to the holding and the hugging and the tender touching and the seductiveness and the kissing and the romancing and the marrying and the raising of little boys and girls to call each other cousins and aunties and uncles. God is saying, be fruitful and multiply, which is much better than killing and slaughtering one another. God is saying, in essence, he's saying, do not fight with your brother. Do not fight with your neighbor. Your neighbor is your brother. God is saying that. Do not kill the man. Do not kill the man. No, God is saying, go and marry his sister. Be fruitful and multiply. Our God is saying, go marry the man's sister, don't kill him. Go marry her, give her a baby. Give her 2 babies. Give her 3 babies. My father gave my mother 9 babies. God is saying, be fruitful and multiply. Stop killing. Do something better. Make babies. It is better than killing. God is saying, be fruitful and multiply. It's an alternative to killing. It's a nicer one, a better one, a sweeter one, a more productive one. God did not even have to tell them how to do it. He didn't even have to tell them how to do it. He called it fruiting. Fruitful. Fruiting. Making fruit. In other words, God is saying, find a lady. Stop killing one another. A stupidness. Find a lady, young man. And both of you, you and the lady, go somewhere together and make fruits. Make 2 fruits. Make a male fruit and a female fruit. And stop murdering one another. Which is better? Which one is better? Which one is better, God is asking? Or God is suggesting? The fruit making or the murdering? And God wants them to understand. God wants Noah and his sons to understand, especially the sons, that fruit producing is much better than life taking. Produce like he commanded you. Producing gives life. Bring life into the world instead of taking a life away from the planet. God gave man a viable alternative to violence. A viable alternative to violence. And what's that viable alternative to violence? Be fruitful and multiply, God said. Much better than murder. Right, Mr. Weeks? Much better than murder. and far more pleasurable too than anything he had said before, than anything God had commanded man to do before. But Noah had sons. His sons had wives. They were fruitful. They had children. That means they bore fruits. They knew what God meant. God did not have to dot every I and cross every T for them. They knew what fruitful and multiply meant that they should do. Do not kill the man, God is saying. Do not kill your neighbor, God is saying. Go and love your neighbor's sister. That commandment, my friend, my brother, my listener, has not changed in any way at all. It has not changed. And we're going to continue in the next program. We're bringing this one to an end right now. That way, the way that God is suggesting, if you follow it, you will reduce your urge to murder your neighbor. Because no matter how much dispute, if you were to follow God's commandment and be fruitful and multiply, no matter how many, if you have any sense at all, you won't want to kill your son's uncle. You won't want to slaughter your daughter's grandfather. You won't want to murder your cousin or your nephew. Fruitfulness extends the family. Fruitfulness extends the family. It builds the family tree. God is wise. And he said, don't kill. Be fruitful. Multiply. Pretty soon, everybody will be family. As much everybody will be one, united. Don't kill. Multiply. And maybe that's what's happening in our society today. You know, maybe a lot of the killing is because our families are so small. I don't know. You know, they got, so ladies and gentlemen, maybe if we multiplied more, we'll behave ourselves better. I say no more on that matter. I want to thank you for listening to me. And I trust that out of this great book, we would be able to find our way forward in this world of chaos and confusion. My name is Lachlan Tatum, and I trust you'll have a very pleasant balance of the week.